What's up, y'all? It's Ashley.
I'm Fee.
It's Melody.
And Cody here. And you've tapped into
The Mama's Den.
We're all mamas, and we've got 11 kids between the four of us. And let's just say we are tired. But we're also friends who are going through this journey of motherhood together.
Each week, we are giving you some laughs, maybe some tears, sharing our personal stories, and of course, giving advice, what we hope is helpful.
This is the show we wish we had before becoming mamas.
So grandmas, aunties, sisters, uncles, daddies, brothers, everybody who's in the village of raising children, we got you.
Shall we get into it, ladies?
Let's do it.
So today, y'all, we are going to have our regular check-in, but we are going to do so with our guest, Dr. Kendra.
Thank you for having
Welcome,
me.
welcome. Welcome
Dr.
to the
Kendra
Mama's Den.
Segura.
Yes.
Thank you.
I would like to roll my R for the doctor.
Give it to us
I like
again.
that.
Dr.
For the
Segura.
Even better.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Well, how y'all doing, first of all? All of you, everyone, the
We
ladies.
just starting going down the.
We just kind of talk over each other till one of us wins.
But I still can hear you and talk
But I can
at
listen
the same
at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
I'm just glad I make it on time. Like when I show up to work or have an event, if I can make it sort of like on time, that's success. for me
What's on
right
time
there.
to you?
Yeah.
Within like probably 10, 15 minutes,
for it.
give or take, you know.
You mean
Before or after?
I mean, after.
Yeah.
She said,
Oh,
give or take,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
yes,
It's my girl.
yes. You're on Melanie's time
When's your
frame.
birthday? When's your birthday?
Can you guess what sign I am?
I'm trying to.
Everybody
I
gets
need
to
more
guess.
information.
Y'all know I don't know.
Or break it down, earth,
What's your favorite
fire.
color?
You're
I'm gonna
giving
say
me Earth
Aries.
sign. Oh.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
No, I wouldn't have said
No.
Aries.
You're giving me.
Y'all guess. Everybody
Okay,
guess.
my three guesses are either a Sagittarius, a Virgo, or maybe a Capricorn. I don't know, but it's definitely giving me boss
Yeah.
energy.
Yep, definite
Yeah.
boss.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. What's your guess, Melly Mel?
I'm still unclear.
Okay.
The intuitives haven't spoken to me yet.
Maybe Scorpio. I don't know.
No.
No.
Okay.
You have to
Virgo.
See?
Earth sign.
Oh,
Told you.
Yeah, I was
I
like, why was that?
It was giving me
Wow.
Earth sign
But
energy.
most people don't even think I'm
I'm
an
a
earth sign. They
Capricorn.
think I'm fire.
Fire, yeah.
Nope.
And today
No,
is my
I-
sister's birthday. For you to say Aries like that, because
Oh,
Aries season right now. So maybe she's been rubbing off on me.
Oh my gosh, it is Aries season.
I would have leaned into the Earth sign, but when she told me that her on time is 10 to 15 minutes late, it threw me off a little bit.
That's that Virgo.
Because
though.
normally
Earth
I'm
signs
like, that's
are
that
very
Virgo.
punctual.
You also
But
have
I'm either
kids.
too early or too late.
Yeah.
I can be, that's why I say, give or take, like, so it's either that I show up and I'm really early and I'm like, damn, I could have, argued some more with my husband at home. Like, I try to make that one last point.
Listen,
She's definitely
always
Virgo.
One last point.
You know what I mean? Yeah, but I can never get it like, it's either too early or
Have you always been like this?
pretty much.
Yeah, I hear
Yeah,
you.
pretty much. I'm extreme.
That,
I've been
yes.
searching for the middle ground my whole life.
There's
You
not
know what I
one
mean?
for
I
us
don't
such
have a
signs.
middle ground. I'm
Look
either
no further.
nice or I'm not. I'm either playing or I'm, or I'm not.
Yes.
Catch the drift. Yeah.
I love this.
Yes.
But one thing I do want to bring up is that when we see each other, when we show up to the place, you guys never know like what that person has gone through just to even like be present. And so, I'm a kind of new mom. I'm 4 years in. And it's just like, damn, like, is this what my coworkers were going through?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you still have to be, at work, like at 7 a.m. Like I have,
And
like,
show up happy.
just respect.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
After
true.
wrestling with your child, sweating, getting ready, forgetting stuff in the house, going back, dealing with the mom guilt. I mean, it's just a whole like process. And so I've learned to give
Yeah.
people grace and myself. Like,
And then it's like, I was telling one of my homegirls this morning, because I had the same sentiment, and I was like, and who told me to be a business owner? Who told me to sign up for all this?
I thought
yes.
you was going to
Yeah.
say who told me to be a mom.
Both.
look.
Both.
I mean, the same person who told her both. God.
Okay.
Lord. Put this spirit in these children in you. Okay.
Yes.
So do you have one or two?
I have one.
Okay. And so 4 years old?
4 years
Boy
old.
or
His name
girl?
is Hart.
Okay. Oh.
H-A-R-T.
Where did that come from?
My husband, his name is Hobart. And so it was a lot of pressure on him to come up with the name because I was to a point where, you know, if we don't figure it out, Junior, just Hobart Junior,
Okay,
you know.
cute.
But he was so stuck on he has to have his own name, his own identity.
I feel that.
And at the point where I'm like just trying to make sure that I just don't deliver early, you know, I'm just trying to keep the baby in until the date.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of anything. And I'm like, no wonder my mother didn't name us because she was pregnant and it's just, sometimes it's hard. So he was under the gun. So he came up with the name Hart, like I think probably 3 days before.
That's cute.
Yeah.
Wait,
Game
and
day.
your mom didn't name you?
No, my mom didn't name me.
Who named you?
My dad and my grandmother named my sister. So I was like offended. Like, Mom, you didn't even.
I didn't name all of my children either.
Oh, really? I was like,
No,
but
my-
now,
Yeah,
but look what
there's
I
still a
did.
theme, friend.
Yeah.
Oh, there is, but I mean, I didn't name Amira. I approved the names, but I didn't find the name Amira. The only child that I named was Asia.
So I
that's
don't know,
funny.
Dr. Kendra, how much you know about us. Is it okay if we, how many kids we have?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to go first?
No, you was talking about Amir and all your 17 kids. So go ahead, baby.
Hi, my name is Ashley. I have 4 daughters.
Wow,
They
go, Mom,
are,
go.
yes, 15, 7, about to be 8, 5, about to be 6, and 2. And
Wow,
Amir
just-
Lee, Azar Lee, Asia Lee, and Natalia Lee.
Wow.
Mhm.
Don't
What's
even
your
look
whole
like you have
name?
any kids.
My
at all.
whole
Yours,
name?
yes.
My name is Ashley Sarah Nicole Chia. And then my daughters they all have, it's Amira Lee, Sarah. They all have my name and my husband's middle name because my husband is Cambodian. His middle name is Lee. So that's where the Lee comes from with all of their first names. Yeah. And then my name is naturally Ashley. So it's just like, you know, it was written.
Okay,
love
I love how he's Cambodian.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
thought
my
so.
husband is Chinese.
Really?
And I'm half Vietnamese. So
Oh, really?
yeah. Like
Oh.
I love Cambodian food. I can't think of my favorite restaurant. It's Cambodian.
Where
Got
do
the
you
the
live?
bone-in beef with the pho. Like,
Yes. Okay. My husband loves that. I actually do not eat meat, so he has to
Okay.
get that fixed when he
Okay.
goes home. But yes, he's actually Cambodian and Chinese. So,
Oh,
and
okay.
white. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So we're just United Nations over here.
We are.
You know, I
Wait,
love
he
it.
doesn't sneak out and eat the beef like here? You have to make, he only gets it when he goes home?
Yeah, he's weird about his meat.
Oh, okay.
Wait, is he vegan?
Is Chia vegan?
Yeah.
No, Chia eats what his wife makes him.
Ooh.
And then when he is out and about and he wants like a steak, he will eat it. But I'm not cooking meat, so
Yeah.
he's not eating it.
But he'll eat meat though. Like it's not. Yeah.
But not regular. Like I asked him the other day because when we first were together, I was making him like meat,
Mhm.
and then I started getting sick because I was pregnant. I was like, I can't deal with the blood. That's weird.
Yeah.
And so then he would just like eat it whenever we went to a restaurant. And then I think because like he wanted to eat healthier, it just started dwindling away. And now he's like, he rarely eats it. Like he ate the oxtail that Melanie's mom made and he loved it.
Couldn't pass that up.
Right. He was like, that's my first time
Right?
ever having it. Huh?
That was good.
It was bomb.
That was
Well,
so
a moment of
good.
silence for Mama Donna.
Shout
and
out
the
to Mama Donna
oxtails.
making.
Yes.
We made shrimp curry. We made metaji, and we made oxtail.
It was bomb.
And everybody got a little taste. It was made with love.
Alicia, how many children do you have?
So I have 2 kids. Peace is 9. That's my oldest, a girl, and then Zen is 5. That's my just 2 kids.
I love these names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have 2 kids. This is Melanie. 2 kids. I have an 8-year-old named Cameron and a 2-year-old named Kaya, daughter. Yeah, it's really Ashley's fault that I'm a new mom again.
Here you go.
Here we go. We're just going to shout it out every
It
time
is.
because we literally.
co-sign.
It's actually the Mama's Den fault because I was champion one and done, like legit, like out here one and done. We're good. I feel satisfied. We don't need any more children.
Right.
Ashley's like, you definitely need more children. I was like, why does he need more children if you have all these children? He can have your daughters.
So
and
I'm assuming you were on
siblings.
birth control?
No,
Oh.
we were on timing.
Come on,
Dr. Kendra
Okay.
said,
Yeah.
take some
I'm
responsibility,
shocked- I'm
Sister
shocked
Melanie.
that I'm pregnant. You know,
Yeah.
I said I'm a positive pregnancy test.
No,
You know, and people are like, and I'm like, well, oh my God, you got pregnant on Depo? Which one was you on?
No, I was like, no birth
She's
control
funny.
over here. But I'll tell you what, Doc,
Okay. What's that?
I conceived on the last day of my cycle,
Okay.
which was a little
Okay.
unexpected.
Right.
I'll be honest,
Right.
because
Oh,
you
y'all
time it
freaky.
out.
It was
It worked
meant
all
to
those
be.
years. So, but truly, I think being in the energy of the Mama's Den, and then Ashley was going for her 4th, and she was like, "It'd be so cute if we were pregnant together." I was like, "Would it? Would it be cute?"
I'm just
and then sure enough,
going
our
for
daughters
your
are
fourth, so planning for that.
Okay, let me know.
Our daughters are a month apart, literally.
Wow.
Like when she called to tell me that she was 2 days pregnant, my period was late. And I was like, oh my God, do I tell her now or do I wait to take the test? And I took the test later that weekend and I was like, oh my gosh. And then it was a daughter. So Ashley told me that she was going to help me raise her because I didn't know the first thing about raising daughters. It terrified me.
Right,
She
right.
came with all the hair, and I don't know I don't like doing my own hair. So
Right.
now I need 30
Right.
extra minutes to do her hair as well.
Right.
So Ashley's going to do her hair every day for the rest of her life for me. And that's my story.
Okay, I got it.
For
Got it.
full clarity, I tried to get Cody to get pregnant too, but Tommy prevented that.
Tommy
But full transparency, you would have been in this pregnancy pack with
Well,
us.
thank you.
At the
Tommy
time,
is not
Felicia was
playing
like,
with y'all.
not right now. And then
No.
she done changed her tune. We could all be pregnant together.
Oh my gosh.
What about you,
that
Cody
said,
Lynn? How many kids you got, girl?
I am Cody here, and I have 3 kids, 3 boys. Brooks is my oldest; he's 7, and Aristotle and Langston are 5, and they also have a lot of hair.
And they're twins.
And they're
You didn't
twins.
catch that.
Oh.
Yes, they came together.
Much respect.
together.
Much respect.
2 for 1.
for
She been
everybody.
leaving that part
You
out.
want more.
I mean, they're both
Their
5.
age.
Tommy likes to let people think they're project twins. Like that's
different daddies.
he literally will be like, you know.
You know?
And I'm like, okay.
That's so
It's the Philly in
Anyway,
him. It's fine.
yeah, they are identical twins.
Yes.
That's
Identical.
what they are. Yes.
I literally see them every time, and I'm like, which one are you?
Girl.
They look exactly.
I literally, when I found out, first off, I always wanted twins, like always. But I thought it was like a silly thing that could not happen to like regular people who don't have twins in their family.
Oh, I was just going to ask that. Do you have twins in your
None,
family?
not at all. And so when I found out that it was twins, first I just was giggling and crying for 2 weeks, crying happy tears, but like nonstop. But I remember assuming that they were fraternal because I was over 35 and more eggs drop. I just figured it was 2 eggs, right? But when I found out they were identical, I was like, how does this happen? Like I literally asked the doctor, like, how does this happen? And he was like, the egg splits. It's the same egg and it splits. And so there's 2 of them.
Equal opportunity going on in there.
That is wild. I guess I didn't
Yeah.
realize
Yeah,
that
think about
identical
that.
twins are usually hereditary. Is that how that
Identical
works?
twin, no,
Oh.
fraternal can be hereditary. Identical can't. It's a literal miracle.
Oh,
I know.
Wow. And the fact that was like your desire. That's
I
very
know.
Interesting.
It's crazy.
could you desire for me to be a millionaire since God?
I will.
listening to you?
I will do my best. I will
Thank you.
do you one better because millionaire. What can we do with that in Los
I wanna
Angeles?
be- I want to be a
LA.
multi.
You know
Let's
that.
go
man.
billions.
Billionaire. No, I
Because-
don't want to be a billionaire.
Multi-millionaire. How
Yeah.
about
I want to
that?
be a billionaire so I
You
can
do?
give
Me
a lot of
too.
it away
Okay.
and then still have enough to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
Right. At your
Okay,
leisure.
Mackenzie
Own
Scott,
your
I
own
see.
time.
Because Lord knows $1 million doesn't do anything.
Oh, well,
No,
no, that's
not in
the
Los
goal.
Angeles.
Not in
No.
Los Angeles, no.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm living in it.
So yeah, we just out here with all these kids. We have so much we really want to talk to you about, like our bodies. We talk about diastasis a lot. So we definitely want to talk about that today. But also, can you give us a little bit of your background? What medicine do you practice? Tell us a little about the beauty supply.
Yes. Okay, so my name is Dr. Segura, but people call me Dr. Kendra. I'm probably best known by Dr. Kendra. And I'm an OBGYN, and I practice at a community clinic. And I also own my own health and wellness aesthetic place that I just recently, within the past year, have got up and running. And so I'm really proud of that because it allows me to practice holistic medicine. And my passion is just taking care of us, but, you know, from head to toe. And so with that, I'm part of a franchise called Hype Hair. And there's about 5 locations, and the creator is also the owner of Hype Hair magazine. And so we take a lot of pride in kind of like being a franchise. I think, you know, we're probably if not only, I think, but in California, there's like no other franchise that when I've looked up, it was just like we were the only ones. And so I'm really proud of that because most beauty supply owners are just individuals. But I think we're trying to kind of like go retro with the culture, like reminding everybody that, you know, these hair magazines, when I was growing up, I remember I used to like take, you know, the picture from Hype Hair magazine, like I want this.
Yeah, as soon as you said hype hair, that's
You
the
know,
first
it's just
thing I
like,
thought
that's how we used to do it, you know? And so a part of that is a sense of community. So what we're trying to do is just bring back conversations. And with the way society's been going, everybody has a private salon. So you don't really get to sit in a chair under the blow dryer, hear women's stories and talk about your kids, you know, talk about men. And so growing up, you know, I remember just listening to older women in beauty shop really just talk about, you know, life.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking that, you know, I'm trying to cultivate that and bring back the sense of community, whether we are united because we're mothers, or rather we just stop combing our hair and we're like, what can I do that's a protective style? And a lot of people don't know that your health affects like your hair health. And so I always say that, you know, beauty comes from the inside and out. So yeah, my passion is women's health. And if you look good, chances are you're feeling good.
Yeah.
And that's my passion. I think that is, you know, my purpose that I'm working in.
How do you juggle all of that?
You know what? I mean, really, God. Like, you know, just like, for instance, making it here, you know, this morning, like all things were like going wrong. And yeah, I just really pray a whole lot. And I give myself more grace. You know, you can't be good at everything at the same time. And so maybe this week, you know, my mothering skills, maybe it's not as high as I'd like it to be on the scale. But, you know, maybe, you know, I'm doing better in my business, you know, or I'm helping patients out and, you know, they're really like listening to me and we're like moving forward with, you know, improving a woman's health. And so, yeah, you can have it all, but just not all at the same time. You can do a lot, but it's just like, you know, you got to give yourself grace because it's not going to be 100% in every category, like evenly. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I live by that because you know me. It's just gonna be what it is. It's a surprise every day. Like, are we doing work today? I was telling Cody this morning that I forgot to tell the nanny not to come because my husband and I like changed flight situation, so he flew out with our kids. And she just knocked at the door, and I was like, "Oh my God!" I felt so bad. And she was like, "You do a lot of things at one time." I was like, "Clearly, I'm not doing them well." So
okay, but can we just also like applaud you for getting help?
Oh yes,
I know.
That's a new thing.
Okay, I want to say this really quickly. This me getting help was initiated by Cody probably the moment I met her, and she was like, "Girl, why you ain't got no help?" And then for years, she has pushed me, and then Melanie started a campaign of me getting help. I'll probably say like a year ago, so it was definitely like a 2-man job, and then. Finally, every time I talk to Melanie, she'd be like, "But are you gonna get help? But are you gonna get help? But are you gonna get help?" And the other day, she was like, "I'm gonna call my personal trainer," and I was like, "I'm gonna call a nanny," and we just hung up and we did it, and then boom, she went to work out, and I got a nanny, and God is good.
Got to change both your lives. It's like, you know.
But it took like more than one person to tell me they loves me because I usually don't listen to one person. I need to hear it from like 3. Yeah.
But it's just hard to like when you're not used to living like that, like to get help when you're not used to asking for help. And I think one of the things, you know, me having a baby, I learned like, wow, like it does take a village. You know, where is the village? Where is that phone number? To, you know,
Right.
And so like literally like all these cliche sayings just, you know, damn. Like,
Wait, is your family here?
yes.
Okay, good.
But my husband is from Toronto, so his family is.
I'm from Toronto.
Oh, okay. Well, I like you. No wonder. No wonder Canadians. You know, you guys are so nice. Yeah.
That's cool. Shout out to the 6.
Yeah. So, yeah. So we have a small family, and it's like I had to learn to ask for help, and I'm just not used to doing that because you know I'm used to just let me do it myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, I'll get it done faster. But yeah, just asking for help. Things that I tell my patients.
Yeah.
You know, I don't ever take my own. I'm the worst patient in the world.
But for you to have a 4-year-old and to say that, so how long did it take you? Because you're like, I don't ask for help, but now I do. So how long did that?
Right. So I had my baby at 39. And I have a history of endometriosis. And so that's basically one of the theories of endometriosis is retrograde menstruation. So meaning that the uterine lining, the part that's active, that your period, instead of going out, it goes back in, and it causes a state of inflammation, and it can have like debilitating pelvic pain. So I've been on birth control like for years, and I feel blessed because, you know, I've never had to be on disability because of having this pelvic pain. And so, you know, just thinking about some of my patients and how they have to have repeated surgeries for it. So it could really just lay you out. And on top of that, you can be subfertile. So meaning that it could be harder to get pregnant. if at all. And so endometriosis is one of the top reasons why women suffer from infertility. And so, so I feel blessed that I was able to do IVF, in vitro fertilization, because not everybody could afford it. Not everybody gets that luxury. Unfortunately, living in this country, don't get me started like on women's health and all that, and what America has been doing about that. But so a lot of it isn't covered by insurance. And so, I look at Hart, and he's a walking miracle. And it is also a reminder of my privilege that I was able to do it in the first place. You know what I mean? Because like I said, it does get costly, even if your insurance covers it. Because my insurance did, but it was still a lot of outside costs. I'm sitting there thinking, like, how could the average family afford this when most insurances don't cover it? You know what I mean? So like when I look at him, I just think about my privilege and the miracle that, of being a mother. And so I lived a long time not asking for help, doing things on my own at my own time. And I started thinking about all my friends, they have kids like in college, or they have kids that are 4 years old. So, God, he will give you that village. I'm thinking, oh my God, you guys are all going to like college graduations. I'm gonna be here by myself with this baby. But no, some of them have their oops, or just, they're in like another relationship where they're married and they're experiencing pregnancy a completely different way, before, than their first pregnancy, which may have been, as a single person, And so, asking for help and just me, thinking about my patients. And one thing like people don't tell you is the hardest thing that I like struggle with is who's going to watch the baby. You know what I mean? Like, it's more, our baby, because we're women, like, so there's a lot of mental tasks that I do, to make sure that he's accounted for. And also simple things like leaving a room. If I have a child there, I'm like, oh, I can't even just leave the room and go to another room. Little things that you're like, damn.
Find you.
Right.
I was talking to my sister this morning. I woke up and I was just laying on the couch, and I was just staring at the ceiling. And I just started praying, and I was like, okay, God, you have me on this new mission. So I'm starting this nonprofit, and the nonprofit is focused on women's mothers specifically, just their mental health and well-being, and creating these spaces, these wellness spaces for us, but the thing is, I have to ask for help. And the asking for help part, fundraising and donations and sponsorships and all of these things is very difficult. And I called my sister, and I was like, I feel like I'm going crazy because it's so challenging for me to ask for help. So one of my homegirls calls me, and she just starts sharing all of this help that I was literally just praying about. But the lesson was very much, you need to ask for more help and utilize your resources, So the fact that you said that is so aligned.
And you know what? What I really was excited, to be on the show with you girls is to tell you about my latest venture.
Oh, more.
Yes.
Okay.
And so
Tell us all of it.
That's the whole point. Like, I want to share with the world. And when you said ask, I'm like, oh my God, Kendra. Like, okay, so I'm so excited that I've launched and in the process of getting things up and rolling. Ask Dr. Kendra.
Oh.
And so it's basically a concierge medicine where you get me, and where you have membership to medical knowledge, like how, I have a library about different topics in women's health, that I collaborate with other healthcare professionals, like such as, mental health. Just kind of like, being the go-to when you need to ask a question. And I think that Ask Dr. Kendra is not as intimidating. Because when you think about, do I need to talk to a doctor? I just don't want 15 or 20 minutes with Dr. Kendra. I want maybe 40 minutes, maybe an hour. So where you could actually choose and tailor your doctor's visit. And so I'm just excited to, create a platform that makes healthcare, quality healthcare, more accessible.
And how can people find you?
So askdrkendra.com.
Okay.
And then there you'll see different membership options, and Pretty soon, I'm going to be opening up the appointment line, so you can do virtual. We can do in person. It's really, something for busy women, for people who are a little bit intimidated by the healthcare system, for people like us that maybe it's like, you know what, I want a doctor that looks like me. So just being more accessible.
But also, I've been thinking about this a lot as we've had a lot of conversations recently about Black maternal health. And we also all, witnessed or learned about the passing of Jessica Petway. And we, as Black women,
Yes.
rightfully are upset, with the medical system. And sometimes I think what we know here is like, we've got to ask for second opinions. We've got to like use our resources. And I think that the four of us are pretty good about that and using each other as a sounding board and forcing each other to get the resources and help that we need. But the more access people can have, everyone doesn't have access to Dr. Kendra or to the mamas. And so I just think that's such an incredible thing that you're creating.
Yes.
So bravo to you.
Because it's needed. And that really, the Jessica passing, her is just, another reminder of how the system is just not built for us. And it's a tough thing to really just say.
Yeah.
Even, me, so I've been a patient, plenty of times. And I'm also a Black woman working in this healthcare system. And so, to really just admit that there is a problem with the system, that we do have biases, no matter, who you are, every human has a bias, and perhaps biases are there to help us quickly make decisions that we don't even know we're making when we first meet somebody, right? I'm like, okay, trying to just boom, boom, figure you out. And so, I try my best, my health, my career is like every time if I have a encounter with a patient where it's kind of rough, I always remind people that there's a doctor for every patient out there.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I'm not the doctor for everybody. And sometimes patients are shocked when I say that. But, as far as being your OBGYN, this is like an important moment in your life. So if there's no trust here in this relationship, it's going to be hard to go through the pregnancy with you. And so I say that all the time because I do include myself in it when I say that there is a lot of bias in healthcare. And so even with Black physicians, with their Black patients. So I say hands down, we all do it. But some of us need to do a little more checking in with ourselves and reflection when we do have bad patient outcomes and actually be honest. So that's the whole, my passion. I got misdiagnosed probably for 3 years before they diagnosed me with endometriosis. And my diagnosis was immediately going into the operating room and having surgery. And, my
What
mother,
did they
my
say
mother
they
was
were solving for if they didn't know?
Once the doctor, the way I got diagnosed was classic because no one was listening to me. So in undergraduate, I played tennis for the team. And so I was very strong, very tough, have a high pain tolerance, a great communicator. So, if you ask me questions about my pain, I'm a good historian. And so for 3 years or at least 2 years for sure, I was going to the health center and I was telling them that I'm in so much pain, probably once every 3 months. But back then I didn't even know I wanted to be an OBGYN. So I definitely didn't know anything about endometriosis. And it just took a long time for someone to believe me. And it wasn't until I had this physician actually, and he knew me, he followed, sports for the college. And he told me, do you have the pain? I'm like, well, not now. I don't have any pain. I said, but the nurse practitioner told me it was gas and I should stop eating coleslaw because it's a gaseous, vegetable or, whatever. And so for many years, I didn't eat coleslaw. many years because she just got that into my brain. And so, and I just told him, I said, I was on the ground, curled up in the dorm, and my roommate was just outside and I couldn't even talk, but I wanted her to call 911. And then just as soon I was in the fetal position, it was over. And so then he was going for the door and he closed it. He looked back. He was like, you know what? why don't I do a transvaginal ultrasound? He said, have you ever had one? I haven't even had a pap smear at that point. Like, I didn't know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Down
How
here,
old were you at this time?
I was 19,
Okay.
Yeah.
19. And so I was like, what is that? Like, you gonna go in my vagina?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, I don't think I need that. He was like, no, it'll be really quick. And boy, when he did it, you know, he started calling other colleagues, and you know, they do that. Like, you see this?
What's happening?
You know, and it was just like 2 huge like ovarian cysts. And one of them was called an endometrioma. So that is classic diagnosis of like, you know, they have different grades, stages of endometriosis. So it was like the highest stage, right? And so I'm thinking, oh my God, I got cancer. Because, you know, I never even knew, you know,
Yeah.
and my
Right, of
mother was
course.
like, what is that? You got cancer? And they called my parents, and then I had to go into the hospital, and I met this wonderful doctor. Shout out to Dr. Pushkin, you know. He was just a great surgeon. He was compassionate. And before going in, you know, he was telling me that I might have to take both your ovaries. Yeah, and at 19, never had a pap smear.
Got thrown in.
Never had, like, you know, the thing, transvaginal ultrasound up my vagina, and definitely never thought about children.
Right.
I didn't think about children. I didn't even think I was going to get married. Like, you know, this is like
You're
the
not
kind of girl
19,
we
yeah.
were talking
Yeah.
about, you know. So for him to say that, and he was like, he says, if you need counseling, you know, it'll be available to you.
Is this as you're going in, or is this?
Well, this is like
sit
right before,
down?
like a
Okay.
lot of stuff was going on because one of my ovaries was torsed. So with that ovarian torsion, you have like 24 to 48 hours max, if that, to untwist the ovary and for the blood supply to go back to the ovary before you have to take it out.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why it was all so quick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so
And he's telling you like worst case scenarios.
Yeah.
he said there's a good chance that he's going to have to take both my ovaries out.
Oh my God.
Intense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
'cause that I'm leaning in like,
Yeah, yeah.
because, you know, now that I, you know, as a OBGYN, now I look back at that and me not crying, you know, everybody said I took it like a champ. Well, because I probably didn't understand.
That
part.
I didn't
Trying to
understand
process everything.
like what was going on. And even after I did listen to him. I just stayed on birth control.
Yeah.
Because he said I could have pain later on, or, you know, have endometriosis can be on your bowels, can be on your bladder. I had a patient that I was treating. She had endometriosis in her lungs. So like it can really be debilitating. And
So I have a question that I've probably had for a really long time. What is the difference between endometriosis and fibroids?
okay, so
That's a good question.
fibroids are smooth muscle tumors of your uterus, so the muscle of your uterus, and so it could be anywhere, the muscle inside, but they're benign, and
They're
they're
always
called
benign?
tumors.
They're always
no.
benign? Okay.
So you know there is a 1% chance that they could be malignant, and we still don't know if the fibroids actually turn to malignant cells or if the malignant cells are just or originating like on its own. So we don't know yet. My guess is probably I think things transform, you know, to be quite honest. But they call it tumors because they get all the blood supply that's supposed to be going to your body. They take it from you. They're tumors. They rob you of blood, and blood is essential because it gives oxygen to the rest of your body. And endometriosis is the endometrial lining, you know, the active part of your uterus that could go anywhere in the body, and so it causes pelvic pain. So there are two different things, and they affect us women, you know, differently. So as far as like, so women of color get fibroids 10 years earlier than our counterpart, which is a white woman.
Why?
They don't know. There's speculations is about our diet. Okay, so you know, food that we're eating a lot of red meat, processed foods. Some say it's genetics. They haven't found the gene yet. You know, so usually if you have fibroids, you know, we ask you, did your mother, grandmother, and endometriosis does affect us, but I think we get misdiagnosed like I was,
Yeah.
and But so as the current data, that affects more white women.
That's what I've heard.
And so there's
Yeah.
more research and there's more data on endometriosis.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm very happy that the last couple of years we've been getting a lot of funding for fibroids because they both can lead to subfertility or infertility. So the cost of healthcare on us who suffers from either infertility, subfertility, fibroids, endometriosis, it gives rise to a lot of other diseases that you can get, like fibromyalgia, anxiety, depression, not being able to keep a relationship. Like it just goes on and on and on. So
Wait, I do want to clarify. So you said that the more white women tend to get diagnosed with
Endometriosis.
endometriosis, but that is because we are usually misdiagnosed.
I think that's one of the reasons why
Okay.
the numbers are lower.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not saying that, I don't think that that endometriosis obviously, doesn't affect us, but I think that the numbers are low also because we're getting misdiagnosed
sure.
because
Yeah.
it's usually by pain that you come in with.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I'm talking about my own personal experience, being 19 and people just not maybe looking for endometriosis in us.
Right.
Or just, you don't have anybody that's committed to, investigating with you, like your pain.
But also, so one of my good friends, I don't remember if she had endometriosis or fibroids, but ultimately she had to use IVF because it wasn't safe for her to get pregnant naturally. And when we were talking about like life and how we got here, she now has 3 healthy children. But one of the things that she was saying is doctors would say like, are your periods regular? Which is like a normal question that any doctor, family practice physician is going to ask you. And if like what's normal? You know what I mean? So what at 17, 18, 19, even in your 20s, saying yes or no to that question, you need a reference point. How do you know what's normal?
That
You're
part.
saying yes to pain.
Oh my
Everyone
God.
says periods are painful. So yeah, my
Yeah.
period's painful.
And
that's normal.
I thought it was always the
This-
date. Like,
this
is it
is-
the same date all like every month?
Sometimes they
Is
just
that
say normal, girl.
Yeah.
Well, are
that
you saying,
part-
Alicia, like, how do you even know if your period is normal? Like,
My period has even since I started my period has never started on and ended on the same date.
Yeah,
ever.
that was my experience.
Yeah.
But going back to pain, because now looking back, having the information that I have now, and looking back at my periods, it was not normal.
Yeah.
I would be in severe pain. I was probably anemic, but never got tested for it, and I was just going through pads like crazy. But in my family, we didn't talk about periods at all. And it's culture, because as long as you're not having sex, you shouldn't be having anything wrong down there. And so, everybody said your periods are supposed to be painful. That's part of being a woman,
Right.
but not the whole
to
way
this
through.
level,
So my parents felt so bad because they didn't know.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about it. You only go to the doctor if you're having sex, and so I'm not having sex.
Right.
Well, that's what I was
So-
going to say. I feel like that all of that is a part of it. I know, like, for me, I grew up in the inner city, and typically when we would go to the doctor, they just assumed you had an STD. It didn't matter if you were having sex or not. So, like,
know,
if you're
I
like,
know.
oh, I'm having painful periods, well, they're like, let's test you for, AIDS or chlamydia or whatever. So
Right.
you're like, whoa, okay, relax. And I think that is exactly what you said too, culturally. If you feel like you shouldn't have anything wrong down there if you're not having sex. So if you're not having sex, you feel like guilty for no reason. And if you are, you're scared to say something because you're like, you don't want to be either called out or for your
Shamed,
parents
judged.
shamed, to know that. But I actually was misdiagnosed too. They told me that I had endometriosis since I was 15, that I would never have children. I don't have endometriosis. I have Crohn's disease. And so, but part of that and my thyroid causes me, like, my periods are, I would say they're irregular as far as how heavy they are.
Yeah.
And even my mom, she'd be like, well, after I had a baby, my period would get better. So then you have like your parents telling you whatever their experience is. If yours isn't the same as theirs, then you're like, oh, something, you know what I mean? Like something is wrong, or you're like, my mom, she would always just be like, I don't understand. Like, after every time I had a baby, my period would get better and it should be making it better. But mine have progressively gotten worse. And so I feel like I have been like to 18,000 doctors, and it takes like me to keep on saying, I specifically want this test, that, like, for me going on
Right.
Google.
That's how.
Yeah.
That's how
Yeah,
you
and I
gotta
have to ask them,
come.
like, I want an ultrasound. They're like, well, you don't need that. I'm like, well, my insurance covers it, or my bank account will. So I run the test. Thank you.
Yeah.
But everybody doesn't have that luxury. If your insurance doesn't cover something, a lot of doctors, they're not going to do the test because they know, like, they're not going to get paid. It's just going to go into
But
collections or
it's
whatever.
even more basic than that.
Mm.
How would you even know what to ask for?
Yeah.
Right.
Like where do you begin? And so, you know,
AskDrKendra.com.
because I think that too, the way we practice healthcare in this country is really hard, you know, to make that connection in 15 to 20 minutes. I mean, it's easy for me because, you know, I talk fast and I've adjusted and I talk fast and my brain works fast. So I can be like, hey girl, you know, I just kind of get a sense. But for most people and even complicated patients, 15 minutes is not going to get it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, we're already running behind. We're, you know, as a physician, you're inundated with all this admin work, you know, just charting and all this stuff. And so, you know, one thing I always do, I tell my patients, you know, just find somebody, a doctor that you trust, that you like, and because it's even dangerous for us to keep jumping you know, healthcare providers.
That part.
But we do it because we don't feel heard. So you're always starting from scratch.
Yep.
And to tell your story from scratch is very
Exhausting.
Yeah.
Like you just get tired of doing that.
That's
So
true.
I always say, you know, even no one's perfect, but there is a doctor for everybody. That when you both see each other, you know.
I think
Sorry, I
it's
did the
important
spit
to also say that I remember it was something when I was pregnant. And I remember my mother-in-law at the time was like, doctors are practicing still. Like everybody, there's always new information and new things. And I think a lot of times we do put a lot of pressure on doctors. Like, you guys are God and you're supposed to know all this information. But I think sometimes having the grace and knowing that whoever that doctor is trying the best to their ability with the information that they have or
Right on.
research
Just
and
only
all of
clap on
that.
that.
You know, I'm like, I think there's a lot of pressure. I was the same way as you. When I started my period around like 11, and I would get so sick that I would pass out, I would throw up, I couldn't walk, I couldn't talk. I had to get the fibroid. There was no fibroids. They didn't know what it was. After I had children, my periods, I have no pain, no nothing. Wow. Yeah, it just like went away, which to me was also very scary because I'm like, well, what the heck was it, you know? So, yeah. I feel you. Being a woman is a lot.
It is. And, you know,
Damn.
it never stops. We're trying to get our periods. We finally start our period. Then we have our whole reproductive career. Yeah. And then we got to end it. And there's always something at every
turn.
stage.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, Dr. Kendra, I know you have a son, but if you had daughters like Ashley, what would be your suggestion of when to start them going to see, you know, OB?
So that was such a good question because that's actually one of the top, you know, topics that I talk to my patients about. Like, so going to the gynecologist should be like going to the dentist. It should be like going to the eye doctor to check your eyes. And like I said, you know, it was just in my culture, the way I grew up. Like I told you guys, I'm half Vietnamese, and my daddy is, you know, military man, you know, Marine, Army. So, you know, it wasn't like, okay, how are your periods? It's just like, oh, I started my period. Okay, here's a pad, you know, and so I tell people, like, you know, going to the gynecologist, especially when you have a preteen that, you know, she's getting ready to start her periods or she just started. So just like how we kind of make period boxes, like, okay, girl, here's like the warm compress.
Yeah, I made one for my daughter.
Okay, here's some chocolate, you know, here's some pads.
Here's a bottle of Advil.
You know, yeah, like, you know, so you make that and it's like, okay, you know what, let's go talk to the gynecologist. Yeah. Let's have her talk
So
to
as soon as the period starts.
Yeah, you
That's
know,
so
or maybe
smart.
it's getting you ready. Like,
Yeah.
and people think that every time you see the doctor that you have to get a speculum exam, right? No, it's just like, okay, you come in with your parent and then, you know, I kick them out. Okay, you know, and then start.
Really?
Yeah, and then start really like, girl, are you having sex? You know, like, you know, and they explain to them that it's HIPAA. And
Sorry,
I can't tell
Ashley, you
your
gotta get
parent.
out the
no,
room.
so the mom. Wait,
Yeah.
hold on, time out. Wait,
Yeah.
I have to leave the room?
You need to leave
What
her
if my
in
daughter
there?
wants me to stay in the
legally,
room?
it's if they're under 18, do you have to leave the room? Is she a guardian?
What if she wants me to stay? She would want me to stay.
Then she could say that, but,
I'm
but
like,
it
not if
depends
she
on the
trying to
physician.
express something you
It
don't want
depends
to
on the
hear.
physician. So
That
some
part.
doctors will
That'd
let
be
you
the part.
stay, but me, no, it's a part of my
I want
process
to
of
stay,
seeing
and I
me.
want to bring my daughter to you.
But you've got
Yeah,
to
you
build
can
that
stay
trust
first, but
with
I got to
Dr.
kick you
Kendra.
out
Yeah, that part.
because I'm her doctor.
Okay, we'll see. Because I just know Amira is very attached to me, so I feel like she would
Girl.
not be comfortable in there by herself.
But what
You know
if
what I mean?
it's
After
over time
building
though?
rapport,
Yeah.
after building
Oh.
rapport, that's why I
Over
have
time.
you there
Yeah.
first.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, fair.
And so it's different with different people, but I've never had a problem. Like maybe I had a couple of like helicopter moms, like I gotta stay. I'm like, that's my policy. So, and if you can't abide by that, remember I told you guys,
there's a different doctor for
That ain't the
for
one
every
for
You
you,
can't abide
Shawty.
by that. I'm not the doctor for you.
You know what I mean?
No, but I feel like she'd be comfortable with you. She's also half black and half Asian too.
Oh, yeah,
She would be
yeah,
like, okay,
yeah,
connection.
yeah, I know. I
Like, let
know.
me talk to her.
Okay, but
Okay,
I'm hearing that Felicia's ready. She's gonna send peace.
You would just
Well,
let her be there by herself?
so my mom was a single mom of all three of us, so we had to be very independent very early. So these conversations I was having very young, and my mom was just like, this is a doctor, go in there. So having to articulate myself and say, hey, this is what's going on wasn't uncomfortable for me. But I would definitely be open to, let's say you were my daughter's OBG, right? And, the first appointment and I can see she's comfortable, I would be more than happy to be like, this is your guys' relationship and I'm going to come over here. When we're done with the appointment, I would ask Peace, like, how do you feel? We do a lot of check-ins and things like that. But I do think that it's important for her to know how to articulaate herself in those spaces and how to use her voice. Like,
you were hitting some points today.
because my thing
yes,
is,
yes,
thing is, the way that I raise my children is I want them to always know that mommy is here when you need me. But at the end of the day, if God forbid something happens to me tomorrow, I need you to know how to move through this world and how to have these conversations, even if I'm not inside of that room. That's very
true.
important to me. So yes, I would be down when that time comes for sure. But I would make sure you're not like weird or crazy. Like,
and
like
we all
anything.
get a sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're,
Yes.
we're all getting a sense, and then even during that, depending on how old the child is. You know what I'm saying? But, that's why it's practicing and, seeing so many patients, women of all ages, you get a sense of, that somebody has something else going on. You know what I mean? The reason why I do things the same all the time, because sometimes you get surprises. You get caught off guard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When people aren't, I'm not having sex, and then it's like everything is positive. Girl,
But it's that part.
Girl, I got to put you on prep. You know
I
what I'm saying?
was-
Because you're going to get HIV.
You know what, too? When I was having sex, I was on birth control, but I was more comfortable telling the doctor, but I wasn't comfortable telling my mom because I
Really?
felt like my mom, she didn't
You'd
really
get in trouble.
cultivate that space of me feeling like I can tell her anything.
She
I
probably
knew-
didn't have time. You
Girl,
said she was a single
ain't
mom,
had-
right?
Girl,
she didn't
none
have
of it.
time.
Exactly. So in those moments, there were some times that I'll be like, can you get out now? Like I couldn't wait for her to get out so I can be like, hey, I am sexually active. I do want to get the,
And
you know
that's
what
why I
mean?
say it's my policy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes
Because
sense.
if it's my policy, I take the pressure off the
Yes.
patient. The daughter.
And create a safe space for
yeah,
your
it's
patient.
my policy, mom. You got to go.
No, I like that. I mean, I think that's smart. I also agree with Felicia. It is important. Like, same for me. I grew up with a single mom, so I had to learn to speak up for myself early on. But I actually felt bad when I had sex. I was 17, and I felt so guilty because my mom trusted me so much. But I took her to the doctor with me, and the doctor was like, have you had sex? And he was like, he looked at me. And then I looked at my mom. He was like, do you want her to leave? And I was
See, like that
that's-
question right
it's
there.
so bad because I said
can't-
yes. And my mom was like, well, girl, I
See?
already know the damn answer now, child. And
Right.
I was like, all right, just stay in here. It was that's literally how I told my mom to have sex. And I was 18. So then she was like, well, how long you been having sex, child?
But
And I was
how
like,
brave
it's
of
been a
you.
year.
How brave
My
that you-
mom always made a safe space for me my whole life. I always knew, like, if I did anything, I could tell my mom. That's only actually why I didn't tell her, because I felt so bad. Yeah. She was always like, she never made us ever feel like we could ever do anything that would make her not love us.
Yeah.
Never. And I've created that relationship with my eldest, but I think it would be healthy and good for her to be in there by herself for sure. I do have to ask you a question. Is there like an age when my daughter had this exam that was weird a long time ago, and I was telling them about it, but like he like checked to see if she was about to start her period. Is that a normal thing? Like, can you tell when a young girl, or is there like signs that their period will start soon?
So maybe like sometimes when we do those exams on younger people, and sometimes you could have like a really, really tiny pinpoint cervix. And so the blood can get trapped behind that. And so when parents are bringing, like, she hasn't started her period yet, but yet she's having pain. And when it seems like it's monthly pain, you're thinking, okay, maybe she is getting her period. Just, the way the monthly, every month, like 1 week, she'll start, cramping, back pain. And so then you do an exam just to kind of see, is there anything trapped behind there?
Oh, okay.
And so that's what, like, he was
Even
looking
just the
for.
explanation, it just makes such a huge difference.
Pinpoint
Yeah.
cervix, like never even thought
And
about
then
it.
what you do is you kind of like go and you try to open it up, and then of course, if it's like, most of the time we have to take you to the OR just to help open up the cervix, and you get all this like old blood that's been backed
Wow.
up, like coming out.
Oh my gosh. At what age is this? Like,
It can be at any age. Like, so if you're 13, I mean, girls' most common age now is like 11, 9, you starting your period.
9?
So,
9? Oh my God.
Why
and
is
I
it
think
happening
that's the
earlier?
hormones in the food.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm like,
Lord.
where's that
That is what
chicken?
Because these babies are getting older. I'm talking about
crazy. Boobies quick.
Like, I mean, they
Everything
come
quick.
out like grown.
Yeah.
Like, I was doing a C-section once, and the whole goal, you always want to try to do it where you don't pop the amniotic bag. And so one time, I cut through the uterus, and then I got this baby just looking, eyes open, right at me. And I'm thinking, like,
Not the reenactment, though, Dr. Kendra.
I was like, okay, it's hormones in our food. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
She said,
I'm thinking,
oh, yeah, this the
like,
hormones.
Yeah,
This
like,
baby
10
said baby
years-
is fine.
No,
one can
but
push the
10
baby
years
out.
ago, like, babies had their eyes closed, and but now it's like,
God.
I was waiting. I mean, hurry up.
Hello.
It's like,
No, that's
Like,
real.
And I was like, oh my God, thank God I didn't like with the scalpel.
Yes.
I mean, I was like, what? It was the weirdest thing. I never will forget it. But these babies are older. Their eyes are open. And,
these
they
babies are
recognize the
older.
voice, right? So, I know you.
Uh-uh.
I'm just thinking,
oh, it's giving
Girl,
alien.
no. One of my
It's-
babies came out like that. She didn't cry, and she just looked at me like,
yeah.
Which one?
it was Asia.
She said it's cold out
Sounds
here.
right.
And Tata.
Lord.
Tata literally, that took her out, and she was like,
Yeah.
girl,
That's like,
why?
She still looks at people.
I was about to say.
To this day, she still be looking at people like,
Wait, were your guys' babies' eyes open or closed?
No, they were closed.
Mine were closed too.
no, she was also sunny side up. And
That's
I
all
almost
sunny
didn't
side
look
up.
at her like that, but they made me like flip her. But girl, her
Wow.
eyes were open.
Wait, while we're on the subject of C-sections and babies coming out.
Oh, yes.
So we have had this conversation many times about diastasis recti, which none of us knew about prior to having children.
Yeah.
But now we have an actual doctor in the house. Ow. Okay. So, ma'am, first off, why are they not telling us about this? What? And can you define it for our audience,
yes. Okay.
please?
So it's when your rectus muscle, you have a space between it. So usually, if you're not pregnant, your muscle starts together. Your rectus muscle, it holds the fat in.
This is the abdomen we're talking
yes,
about.
abdomen.
Because
exactly.
rectus sounds different.
It sounds
So
like
yeah,
booty.
so muscle, yeah, a rectus muscle of the abdomen.
Yes.
And so as during pregnancy, because you're stretching out, sometimes your muscle can spread apart. Okay, and especially like for C-sections. I don't know if any of you had a C-section, but I did. Okay. Usually with surgery, major surgery, the rectus muscle is pulled apart because we're trying to get the baby out. And so just, FYI for me, when I do my C-sections for my patients, I always put back, I suture back the muscles together.
This is a new. Hold up. We're about to skip to question 73, which is we're under the impression that you can't do that
at the same
time as the baby, as the C-section.
So after the baby is out and when I'm putting people back together, I always practice the way I want somebody to do to me.
Oh my
Baby,
God.
we getting the tummy tuck, and we
Listen.
getting the
Yes,
DR,
that
Call Dr.
It
Kendra.
causes more pain. though.
we getting the
It causes
DR
more pain.
repair and the C-section.
What?
Listen, baby,
That's a game changer.
That is.
Oh, you are one in a million.
For real.
No, but I find that, and maybe I might, don't at me, but a lot of women OBGYNs, we do that. It causes a lot of pain, right? So a lot of my male colleagues that, they don't do that. And so once I tell you, you're like, oh, Dr. Scott, I'm in pain. Is this normal? And I tell you, girl, because I
helps you out.
Then all of a sudden, when you know why you're in a little bit
You'll be
more
like,
pain,
I'll take it.
you're like, oh, okay, thank you. And then you're
my
just,
God.
because the
That
nurse
is
will
a
call
blessing.
you. And a lot of people don't want to get disturbed. But once you tell a woman why, girl, I don't get phone calls.
shooketh.
This is amazing. No, this is amazing.
There are a couple people here who are pissed, not because of you, just because like what? But also, I have vaginal births, but why didn't they do that for me too?
Ma'am.
Because you're not cut open.
Ma'am.
I don't care
Because they're not
I
been
still-
there.
I still have abs separation.
Right.
They
No,
should have.
girl.
They should have
No,
reached
girl.
their hand and
Actually, you are being ridiculous and unrealistic.
Going back, let me answer the question.
I don't even remember the question.
So the rectus muscle has a separation,
Yes.
and sometimes fat can come through. We start calling it a hernia, and for some, bowel can come through, and that can strangulate. Okay, so you get a hernia, and so with certain exercises, you can minimize the space between, but. For people who have severe separation of the rectus muscle, like I have it, because heart, was like not an emergency C-section, but it was like a challenge for my doctor. I did tell him, I want you to step by step, like this is what you're gonna do for me.
Oh wow!
I was about to say,
You
I
was
love
laying
this.
there talking-
Wait, but did he sew yours back up for you?
No, because he just wanted to get out of there. At that point, they called a code white on my on heart. That is like code blue. Code white is for babies. Like if you're having
cold blue, like
Yeah,
almost.
But blue is you flatline, right?
yeah, like you're having cardiac arrest or you're not getting any oxygen.
Okay,
And so,
okay.
my husband and my sister was in the operating room with me. Usually we just let one, but because I was a physician, they're like, her sister can come. So they have never like seen a C-section before. So they didn't know that it was like, they thought the drama was a part of routine stuff.
Oh.
But they drugged me up so much that I couldn't even like say stuff, right? And they were so distracted. My sister was trying to get with the anesthesiologist.
Girl,
baby.
Disney music was
us more
playing
about
because my
Disney.
sister loves Disney. My husband was like secretly videoing. I was, they had no idea like what was going on.
Yeah.
And so Hobart, he knew something was going on when he saw like the aspirating heart, because it just took forever to get him out. So he would, you get distracted, right? Is the baby breathing? Is the,
Yeah.
So he was
Those
like,
are-
I had
those
to
are
just get
important
out of there.
distractions.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And so, so I'm mad. I'm still mad. Like when I, have that protrusion out,
So, but you had just said, or at least maybe my brain jumped ahead. So I'm going to ask this question rather than say that you suggested it. Is it possible to completely fix diastasis recti without surgery?
For some.
Okay.
So it depends on the severity.
Okay.
Okay.
So usually, like 2 centimeters, 3 centimeters, you can help get it back. But if it's bigger than that, you're gonna need, that
Well, I have
mommy
a follow-up
makeover.
question to that. When you say help get it back, so for me, mine was like 2 fingers, right? And then even it's weird, when I was pregnant, I was doing the exercises. So like
Good.
after I had the baby, it was better like the 4th time than it was the 3rd time. But I feel like it comes back every time. Like I feel like I have to do those exercises for life. Like if I don't do them, like let's say for 2 months, then it starts to like round a little bit where I feel like I look a little pregnant. But then if I'm like consistently working out every day, so I guess that's more my question. Is it something you have to, if you're exercising, you essentially have to do those exercises forever?
It's a muscle too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just gonna say.
Okay.
So you're augmenting the muscles.
Yeah.
So you have a small separation because when you're noticing that the muscles are decreasing, you see it.
Yeah.
So that means it's still there.
Okay.
But it goes to my point that yours isn't that bad because for some of us, eventually we're gonna have someone go back in there and put it together.
So should I not have somebody put mine back together? Because I really want to do that.
Girl, it sounds like yours is really
Girl,
small.
girl.
Just
Just
keep
tell-
doing
sounds
your
like you-
crunches.
Girl.
Okay.
We've been
Doing
trying to
your
tell her,
exercise.
girl.
You know,
Everybody
Let
just
her
say
wear her
girl.
crop top, and you're gonna be like, girl, if you don't just wear your
Girl.
crop top.
She's the queen of the crop top, and it's cute.
I love it.
But wait, I have another
Don't judge me
question.
if I do.
So one of the things that was like hard for me to learn was then that like there's certain exercises that you shouldn't do.
Like crunches. When I said it, I was like, wait a minute.
Oh,
Yeah. So usually the good thing about women's health is that we do have like our physical therapists that
Yes.
specialize
Physical
in
therapy
women's
therapy.
health. And so you can actually do certain exercises, pelvic thrusts. Like, they have things where you can like safely really go hard and work out and pull it back together. Because a lot of times, even me, when I forget, look how I said crunches.
Yeah.
You just don't think that sit-ups or crunches can make it worse,
Or
right?
planking.
And,
Planking makes it worse.
you said blinking?
Planking.
Oh,
Blinking, girl, that's how I feel.
That's
Wait,
why
I
I
was
just
about to
like
follow
this.
You are so.
That's why I don't blink.
but yeah, I think I remember hearing anything where your stomach is like,
Gravity.
yeah, pulling downward like a plank is not good.
It's not good,
because you
no.
just let
If you're gonna do planks, you're supposed to do them at an angle So
Oh,
like you
yes.
can lean on,
Modify.
like
Hey,
you can
y'all
lean
do
on a
y'all research.
counter.
Yes,
Oh no, like
yes,
we are the
sis.
queens of DR here because
Yeah.
I've been for physical therapy for it. I've had 2 C-sections. I understand things that I didn't know before having children. And so that is actually something that, first of all, even if you don't have DR, you don't need to do crunches to get abs. Like you can strengthen your core with never doing crunches. There's so many exercises, standing marches if you're holding weights or like
Yes.
any of these
You could
things
do
that we think
squats.
about. You could do, I mean,
Yeah.
so many things you can do to strengthen your transverse abdominal muscles. So it's a thing though that I think a lot of women like, and our mothers, like we go through these cycles of seeing our moms as just like moms have mom tummy or like lower back issues or, incontinence or pelvic floor issues. And like your parents and moms and women in our lives before us go through these things. Nobody spoke to them about it. Nobody,
They do deal with it.
they just
Yeah.
deal with it.
Like
Like, it's like,
peeing on
why did you,
yourself. You just
yeah,
you
like
just
why
deal
did
with
why
it.
do I
Yes,
pee
I
a little
do
bit
deal
when
with
I
that.
sneeze or laugh or like squat like all these things, and I think about all the women who have lived with this ab separation, and then even if they have it's not as severe, these things cause C-section from scar tissue to how that implicates how your body is mobile, and then lower back pain, every sciatica, all these things that are attributed to carrying children and birthing children that I don't think women are educated enough on.
And
So
what
it's
I
so
want,
important.
I want our listeners today to take with them the point of talking about a diastasis recti, to talk about this with your doctor before
Yes.
you're like you're further along in
Yeah.
your pregnancy, because things like how, like, is there anything during, especially when you're going to have a planned C-section, is there anything you could do to help minimize
Yeah.
the space between my abdominal muscle. And I think that the changes in our body, like postpartum, we kind of forget about, in America, we forget about mothers, like when you delivered. But it's actually, okay, the birth of a child is most of the time is a birth of a mother. Like you never, so if you already have a child, you've never been a mother of 2.
Right.
So it's just like, they kind of forget about us. But I think as we are understanding that postpartum is actually up to 3 years in some countries, and I got a couple, you guys are 2 years in. So it's almost like you're still in that
Yeah.
postpartum period.
Yeah.
And I think asking about body changes afterwards, like the lower back pain, the sciatica, what to do if I do have a hernia, how could it be fixed? And just knowing that information, someone taken away today listening to this, like,
Yeah.
oh, let me tell my friend who's pregnant,
Yeah.
like to talk about, hernias in pregnancy and what to do about that. Because a lot of us, like I said, you would think planking, you would think crunches,
Yeah.
we start going hard and things are getting worse.
Yeah.
And so it's just like getting the word out there and talking about our bodies postpartum and the changes that
And
we
there are specific programs that you can find, and physical therapists and trainers who are, educated in that and know how to help you recover. Like, I think something that's really important for women after having children is Pilates. But understanding there are modifications that need to be made, and a good Pilates instructor will be able to tell you that. But Pilates, as far as strengthening the core and the back, is a huge help, I think, personally, on the recovery after having children, because it's all core based and it's small movements that allow you to really strengthen your body overall. And I don't think people, talk enough about that. Like, even a lot of people say yoga involves a lot of bending that we don't think about
That's
it.
the problem.
I remember when I had DR after Cameron, I remember like I'd be in yoga and I'd just be like, nope, can't bend that way. And I would just tell the yoga teacher, I'm going to modify, or I'm going to just lay down in Savasana and like just.
But knowing how to modify, that used to stress me out.
Yes.
Like when I like hot yoga,
Yes.
and they've also changed it a lot. And so it's no longer just like yoga positions. It's like a lot of activity.
Oh,
in
yeah,
there
no,
these
it's
days.
working out.
Cardio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
It's a workout.
like going in there and trying to think quickly, let me modify this, and then not knowing what to do. That's super stressful
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
But how did you, where did you get your information about DR? Like, where was your first, did you go to your doctor or were you researching? Like, what was
You know
your
what's
first?
so funny? I don't even remember
Me
now.
neither.
No,
Yeah.
I do remember now, because what happened was where I lived, I delivered my son in Santa Monica, and we lived in Marina Del Rey at the time. And I had met the woman that was my birth teacher, like birth coach, before I had our son, she had a program called Birth Fit, and it was right down the street. And so I went to her, and that's how I learned about it. She had me doing exercises like dead bugs, where it seems so simple. You lay on your back and you put your feet in a 90-degree angle with your hands in the air, and you lift, like stick one foot out and move the opposite arm back and then back. Like this, she was the first person to tell me about this because she was like, oh, I can check you right now. I was like, well, how do I know if I have this thing? She's like, I can look at you and probably tell that you have it. And she's like, but I'll test you. I had a very severe 4 fingers.
Oh my goodness.
It was terrible. And she was the first person that was like, hey, we're going to have to move really slow, because I was an athletic person. I was somebody who was fit. I worked out. I never thought about body issues my whole life. So then I have this baby. I have a completely different body. And this woman was the first woman to say, hey, like, this is why we developed this program. And so, like I said, that was the first introduction where I was like, oh, this is a thing.
So you didn't even know there was an issue.
I had no idea that diastasis recti was a thing going into my first pregnancy at all. Like, had no idea. I was like, oh yeah, your stomach stretches and then it goes back, because that's what everybody goes through. No, why do I still look pregnant after I had a baby? And that's something that I think people don't share enough, and we're shamed, or like, you know, and also there's like just the natural progression of like, I always say this, like this idea of like, the first thing people comment on when they see a woman is, damn girl, you ain't look like you had no baby at all. And I'm like, is this the goal?
It was for me.
Like, is it? Yeah, but no, but
But also, did you just point to her like she looked like she ain't had no baby at all?
That's what I said to her earlier.
it's such a disservice, and it's
This is true.
harmful to women, because we don't give ourselves grace. Why is the goal to look like I didn't have a baby when I actually did have a baby?
Right.
And why is there this pressure that like at 6 weeks I'm supposed, oh girl,
the
you
snap
did that.
back
Did I
culture.
do that? Like, did I? Or so wait, so I don't look like I didn't, so I didn't do that? Like, the mental pressure after a woman has just become a birth of a mother.
Yeah.
There's so many things that are going through that process. And then, you know, you like the time that we're not given, and we see it online. And I feel like online is even worse. 'Cause when you know,
Absolutely.
you know, when you know that women, what they look like before and then pregnancy and then after, like,
I mean, we
their
tear down our
postpartum-
celebrities.
Their
you know,
first
we tear
postpartum
them
body
down.
shot is like,
Horrible.
damn girl, you did that. Or, like, I saw very rude comments about people talking about Rihanna from her performance when she did her first performance after having her second
Oh, the one in
child.
India? I think
Yeah,
it was,
she
or
did a
something?
performance
Yeah.
in India. And I was just like, are we still doing this to women? Are we still talking about women's bodies?
Yep.
Like, and whatever rate of, like, why?
That's
Like,
probably why Halle Bailey hit her pregnancy, because she's like, y'all getting on my nerves. Like, this none of your business.
what's this
like,
none of your business?
Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah,
have my
that
baby, and
is
you
really none of your
and
business.
they
But then
were just-
even when she did come out, then the first thing that they wanted to talk about was her body.
It's
like
so
right
annoying.
away.
Sure.
It's
Yeah.
so
It's
annoying.
just so, it's such a disservice, and it's so disrespectful, I think, to the journey that women have to go through as early as we were talking about, as periods and pain and
Each
all these things
stage.
and stages. And you don't know, like, imagine a woman who struggled so hard to have children, and then she gets this miracle, and now the world wants to tear her down about what her body looks like.
Right.
What? Like,
And we already do it ourselves.
we do.
So
You
it's
know what
like,
I mean?
you not
There's
help.
lessons, and there are things that are actually happening that women are not talking about, that women are not sharing. And it's so nice to know when you're going through it, because it can, as you know, it can feel so isolating. Every experience you're going through, you feel so isolated in.
Yeah.
Like, especially when you're surrounded by women and none of them have a relative story to you. You're like, is it just me?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that's why truly this platform for us is so important.
It's a safe
because
space here.
Yep.
we
feel
want
it.
women to hear and feel and see themselves in somebody's story, in somebody's experience.
But on the flip side, it's women that's in those comments
Girl.
tearing us
Girl,
apart,
yeah.
tearing each other apart. So it's just like, okay, we got to make up our minds.
Absolutely.
Are you pro girl, pro woman, or are you not?
because people tend, when you see someone who you perceive to be above you, it makes people feel better. This is what I realized, because I was a psychiatrist in my past life. It makes people feel better to dehumanize them, or humanize them,
Yep,
rather,
'cause having
because
these
you look
thoughts,
at them
yep.
and you're like, oh, they're flawless. As soon as you find a flaw, you want to relate to them so bad through flaw, because you can't relate to them through their greatness, because you don't feel that way.
I
Oh, that's
think-
actually a bar.
No,
Girl,
but
I've got bars for
think,
days,
girl, I think that is
but that's it.
that's
a
where
bar.
it's coming from.
Yes,
mostly.
because when we see each other and we invite people onto the show, we're like Cody specifically, she sees amazing thing in women. She's like, well, I want to bring them on and I want to share their story because she's relating to you and she wants to like elevate your light. So we're relating through elevation. A lot of people relate through tearing people down.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But the how they went in on that, for it to be like a thing.
It's every woman that has a baby though that's a celebrity. They do it, and then and also the pregnancy watching thing is so horrible because we don't know. We don't know if these people done had a miscarriage,
Girl.
if they've been trying to have a baby for how long, and and they're like, oh, I think she's pregnant. I think she's pregnant. She having a baby. Da 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 da. And people are like, I ate a burger.
Right.
I have gas. I'm on my period. I
put on a few pounds.
Yeah.
I'm allowed to.
Yes.
Like what?
Oh, they did that to Selena Gomez, and she has a
Kidney
lupus.
disorder.
Yeah, she has lupus.
Yes.
And
she's
it's
on
like,
steroids. So
yes.
she gets puffy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we just got to leave people alone in their bodies.
True that. Well, Dr. Kendra.
Yes.
First off, you have been amazing.
Yes.
And we're not
could be here
we're not
all
kicking
day.
you out.
Like,
We are inviting you to our question of the day. Who's asking?
All right.
I think I'm asking. Wait, am I asking?
No,
No.
but you can. Girl, read
Ashley's
it.
asking.
No, I got a code. Go ahead and read it.
You can ask. You got
Read that question,
girl. So also remember, if you have any questions, to always hit us up at podcasts with an S at blacklove.com. All right. So the question is, this is a question from Angelica. She says, hello, Mama's Den. First wanted to say I love the podcast. Thank you, Ashley girl. Wait, no, thank you, Angelica girl. It really helps a lot on the motherhood journey. She says, I wanted to know if you guys can talk about the pros and cons of birth control because I'm currently struggling with the thought of having my tubes tied, and I know that's a big decision to make. I've tried the patch and the pill, and the side effects make me want to look into other options. I feel like this is a great question for you.
Like
Yeah,
that's for
I was gonna say, you can answer that.
So birth control is a big topic because, there's different types of, it's different types of pills that you can take. So when I hear a woman say birth control didn't work for me, that's just too broad because it's just too many different formulations of it. And so the first question I ask is, how do you want your birth control? Do you want it something like a sticker on your skin somewhere? Do you want something in your arm? Are you a kind of person that you can rely on yourself to take a pill every day? Because it's such a big topic, and I tell people to be honest. Are you a busy person? Are you a college student? You have a child now, but you don't want to have a child for the next 3 years. So first step, how do you want your birth control?
Yeah.
Second step, do a mental check-in, like, hey, is it realistic for me to get a shot every 12 weeks? Okay. Then I go into your risk factors. So once you've decided, how do I want my birth control? I was honest with myself. I did that check-in. You know what, Kendra, you're not responsible. You're too busy. You're going to miss these pills. You don't have time to go to the doctor to get, Depo or something like that, right? And then looking at your risk factors. So that's why it's kind of broad to, I don't know your risk factors, but there's certain things that put you at higher risk of getting a blood clot, which can be in your lungs or in your leg. And so after we have identified, how do you want your birth control? We did that check-in to see if it fits your lifestyle. Then after we kind of see, do you have any medical conditions that may put you at risk of taking estrogen? Because once we identify that maybe you're not a candidate for estrogen, maybe you're over 35 and you have a higher BMI, maybe you're smoking cigarettes, maybe you have an autoimmune disorder that does, makes you not a candidate for estrogen. Maybe you get migraines with aura and you have a complex migraine. So once we kind of figure all that out, it then simplifies it to this category. And then we just got to go through different types of medication. So when a woman says, oh, birth control doesn't work for me because I'm too emotional, you should say, well, which brand was it?
Right.
Because there's different formulations.
Okay.
And that's why it really takes like the doctor and the patient to go in at it together.
If somebody asked me whether birth control is right for them, I would say go to askdrkendra.com. I'm ill-equipped to answer this question.
Do you have, this might be, you may or may not be able to answer this question, but do you have a birth control that you're like, this is the one that I typically tell people to go to?
That was a great question.
Okay.
Okay, so I tend to point women in the direction where I don't have to depend on you. You don't have to depend on yourself, and you don't have to depend on your healthcare professional. So with that being said, our options are either I love Nexplanon for our girls who hate anything down in the pelvis area, other than, what's meant to be there from time to time.
Yes, God.
Based on relations. I usually direct them to Nexplanon because it's good for 3 to 5 years.
What is it? It's a patch?
It's a rod, a small little implant, like about 4 centimeters. And you can put it in your arm away from, down there. And, like I said, it's just, you don't depend on anybody. Once it's in for at least 3 years.
That is wild.
For somebody telling me, you know what, I'm so emotional. I don't do good with hormones. I have a history of depression. And I'm scared that it's going to make my depression worse. Then I tend to go to IUDs, non-hormonal or hormonal. And again, it doesn't depend on the person, the healthcare provider, or yourself. So I tend to always attract patients that are really busy like me. You kind of attract what you are. And so like something that, for the busy woman. And it may be a challenge or scary, like, okay, what is it going to hurt, or is this and that? And I always tell people, you know what? Just make up your mind. Don't miss your appointment, and then I'll walk you through it. And then once people get it, they're like, oh my God, and it's like the best thing ever.
Yeah, I'm an IUD girly.
Okay,
I like that because I'm busy.
Yeah,
I'm busy.
I mean,
And
even
it's
getting
helpful.
refills for your birth control,
Girl,
that is like mountains to even get to, wherever you go get your medication.
Yeah.
I've never been on birth control, clearly.
What about now? Like, are you guys breastfeeding? I didn't ask.
Oh no,
I'm done. I still
Okay.
have. I did it for a year, but I still have breast milk in my breast. But my husband got a vasectomy.
See,
She's
that
so proud. Look at that.
So did
face.
mine.
because
Yeah.
that's my favorite birth control.
me too.
Same.
It's so beautiful.
I was like, ain't nobody
It's so
asking.
beautiful.
You got the doctor, so I'm gonna be quiet. But my first response was, if you got a partner, consider a vasectomy if you're not trying to have children.
I
Right.
know, and now your
Right.
tubes tied. I'm like,
Yeah, because
I feel for
listen,
that.
I remember thinking about this because I saw my mom get her tubes tied
Okay.
when I was younger. And I just remember looking at her in pain. Like it was the first time I had seen my mom down, laying down in recovery. And I was like, this is what it takes for women to not have children. I'm like, something seems wrong here.
Oh,
Literally. And my mom used to take birth control because I remember she always used to be like, she used to call them her happy pills. She used to be like, go get mom's happy pills. Never had any idea what I knew what a happy pill was. I was like, it's my mom's vitamins. She's taking her vitamins every
Her
day.
vitamins. That's
And
cute.
then when
yeah.
I saw that when I saw that, I remember thinking, oh no. And then I remember when I got older and I thought about it, and then now vasectomies have become more of a topic amongst men, talking about it. Like if you're in a relationship and you're done having children, and it's like women have gone through enough.
yes.
I mean, come
Yeah.
on.
Like women have gone
Throw our
through enough.
husbands
So,
to the party for
that
having
said,
vasectomies.
Y'all know I have a question, and I say y'all know because I put it in our group text this week.
Oh,
And I realized we were like a good hour deep, but the listeners don't mind. So I'd seen a clip on the internets this week with some podcast, but they were talking about like male birth control versus like female birth control. And I think they were talking about it as it relates to teenagers, like what makes sense, what's easier. So I'm just curious, especially we all got kids at some point, we kind of have to make that decision because they still have male birth control. I remember.
Wait, what do you mean? Like a condom?
No, like there was
medication?
for a period there was medication
Shut
that men could
up.
take. I don't know if it was a test or if it.
Yeah, so it was a trial.
It was a
Okay.
trial,
But
yeah.
you guys are going to laugh at this. So the reason why we're not further along for that research and those trials in men because they don't want it.
Yeah.
Of course
They don't
They
not.
don't want it. And so
I
when
was
they
waiting
were,
for it. Yeah.
yeah, so they were in the middle of a trial of guys taking their pill, and they had to suspend the trial because most of the participants quit because they were crying.
No.
Because they had mood swings.
Aw,
So they
poor
couldn't
thing.
handle the depression, the side effects of the birth control pill. And I'm just like, see, you know what I mean? Like, they couldn't even handle the side effects.
girl, when I witnessed my husband get his vasectomy because I wanted to watch
Okay.
Oh, she did that.
with our baby.
You don't never leave the doctor's office, huh? I mean, the doctor's room, huh?
You know what?
Everybody's. I'm watching
Everybody
everybody.
gets a view.
Well, first of all, everyone in my house has been inside me, so I feel like it's only right that I can
Right.
see what's happening
That's
with
facts,
them.
though. That's facts.
Okay. And also I just wanted to watch because he watched me give birth, and I was like, I want to see the end of an era. And the way he handled it, fine.
Okay.
But I was like, men are so dramatic. Like, girl.
Have you seen men? Listen, we love you, men,
Girl.
but
Do they go to sleep? Do
you
they
see-
put to sleep?
No.
There is
wait.
a lunchtime surgery. That's what we call
Baby,
it.
he
Go
could
in there
have
during your
went
lunch
back
break.
to
Put the
work.
Lidocaine in there and just.
The way he hip hopped down the damn street to get in the car, I'm trying to cater to him, and I'm like, baby, let me pull the car up. He was like, I can walk.
How
He was probably still medicated.
Girl,
how quickly after can you have sex?
you gotta wait.
you have to wait.
It's a couple days. It's not like a week.
No,
No,
his doctor told him like it was like 4 weeks or something.
4 weeks.
Because
Yeah,
you
because
want
you have
that
this-
scar tissue.
Yeah,
You
and
want
he
it
had
to
an incision.
separate.
You have to let
I
the
don't
incision
recall.
heal. Well, girl, y'all crazy over there. And then also you want to wait until they send in a sample before you have unprotected
Yeah.
sex.
Oh, right.
Y'all
Okay.
make sure them sperms
They
is
said it
not
takes like
sperming.
17 ejaculations. before.
30.
7.
You remember
Damn.
Ashley was counting down all last
Girl, it was
year?
30 for us.
I remember
She has
17.
a lot of strong sperm. He did.
Yeah, you got
clearly.
4 kids.
Girl, he did his thing, and the doctor was like, "Oh God." He was like, "Yeah, you need to ejaculate some more." And he was like, "Really?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's not safe over here, cuz."
Yeah, no.
Because I'm like, "Wait, when's my period gonna start?"
No, but the takeaway point for that is that he was hopping down the stairs.
Girl.
And, because people think, men, they think it's painful.
It's
but
not.
they don't call it the lunchtime, procedure for nothing. So it's not that painful, but people just have a mental block.
We
with
do
that.
want to know. I mean, some men have different pain tolerance.
Listen, men have a hard time with the common cold. If they get a really bad cold or the flu, we've seen some men go down.
Man down.
And that man down, and the woman's still like, we got dinner, we got the kids ready
Yeah.
for school, we
Yeah.
got to do.
Right.
There is just a different. We're built differently in many
Definitely,
regards.
definitely.
But I'm gonna just say that I am team vasectomy. I think
Yeah.
Me too.
that's gonna be I'll be out on the picket lines, being like, man,
picket
what you doing
lines.
for humanity right now?
But wait, would
That's
you?
amazing.
The clip that you sent, they were saying that they would have their teenage sons
like
get
if given the
vasectomies.
choice. No,
Yes.
no, they
It's a
didn't say
teenager.
Yes, they did.
I think they got there, but they were doing too much. I think
Okay.
the question they were saying, like, would you give your teenage son like a pill if it existed, right? Like if you could give the
yeah.
boys, if you could protect the boys.
Hell yeah.
But
I
by
would
the
put
time our
any of
little
my kids
boys
on birth
are
control.
of age,
Right.
it's going to be approved. It's going to be a pill
They'll
out
get
there.
there.
Yeah.
Or maybe the Depo shot for men. I'm going to be like, because I am not taking care of a grandbaby.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm like,
So
no.
you know,
Not with,
Yeah.
not with these stories of listen.
Because
Listen.
men
You
can get a
know
lot of
who's-
women
but
pregnant
you
at
know
one
who's
time.
gonna be like no
You
when
said what?
our kids are teenagers, and maybe I'm just speaking for mine. When our kids are teenagers, and that's actually an option. The husbands are the ones that are going to be like,
Oh
No.
yeah, because no, she's right.
You can't
Because
give them
no
because
pill.
they never had it, so they might
Yeah.
be more
They're
like
gonna be
women
more
might be like,
resistant to it.
take the
Yes.
son, and the men might be like, that's going to be a generational thing,
Yeah.
because it will be so new for men to be introducing that to their sons versus for us. We've always known about birth control. Our moms have been
And
on
because
it,
men
blah,
are
blah,
going to
blah.
probably
Even
argue
that-
like, well, that could stop them from having a baby, but it can't stop from an STD. They need to strap up
That's
anyways.
true.
the
That's
same,
they're gonna have to
the
do
same
both.
I am
men
team
who
condom
still
for
think
teens at all
vasectomies
times.
are
But
getting
even-
rid of
even
your
for
manhood.
us-
Yes.
The
For
same
us-
men who think vasectomies are getting rid of your manhood are going to be the ones who are like, my son can't take that pill.
Man.
What were you going to say, Dr.
I
Kendra?
wanted to say that even for us women,
Mm-hmm.
we're still held back by wives' tales.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
these generational knowledge that's been passed down.
This is true.
And it's been said so much that we believe it.
Yeah.
And one misconception that I just really want to address on your platform is a lot of young girls, say, well, my mother said I shouldn't be on birth control because it's going to mess up my fertility.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, this is not your grandmother's birth control. Okay, so let's just get that straight right now. With what I mean by that is that, back in the day, we didn't know that you didn't need so much of these doses, like to stop,
Right.
prevent pregnancy. So where do we go with the
Okay.
dosage? Where we can have it right just enough where it prevents
part.
pregnancy. So they were on higher doses, but actually it's the opposite. Birth control is protective of fertility, especially for women now. The trend is everybody's having babies later.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, 30s, even 40s. And so it's just because women, we're now, we're out there going to school,
Yeah.
doing our
Yeah.
thing and living our life.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
My mom was a paramedic, and she used to always tell me, though, she was like, when you have sex, you need to use condoms because you could get rid of a baby, but you can't get rid of some of that stuff you're going to get without one. So that was my mom's thing. She was just like, you need to be very condom friendly because that is going to protect you versus like, sometimes I would see some of my friends once they were on birth control, it was like a free for all.
Right.
And then that
right.
was like, they weren't being safe. And then they were getting introduced to other things. Like you can,
That's why I tell my young girls, no one needs to know you're on birth control.
Right.
Because sometimes, when you're young and you let,
Look,
people
we can't have a
know,
baby.
they just let
Yeah.
loose. And,
That's actually a really
I tell
good
people,
thing. Yeah,
don't,
I never
no
thought
one,
about that.
no one needs to know that you're on birth control.
Yeah, especially the boys. Just let them put a condom on.
Right.
Keep it cute.
Yes,
Exactly.
always.
Keep it cute. Okay.
Woohoo.
Well,
Well,
this has been a doozy.
we have covered the gamut. I feel this was excellent.
Yes. I love it. I really
No,
this
but
was
I
wonderful.
like this platform. And it just gives, us a safe place to just share information. And I just hope that, starting, my concierge, my direct patient care will just add to that safe space where
I'll
you
be
can get
calling.
like questions answered. You can, just look at the medical library and trust that the information is vetted and it's real, especially now. At first it's like don't excuse your Google search or something like that with my MD or whatever. But now it's TikTok. I'm fighting TikTok.
Yeah, no, for
TikTok
real.
taught me, so it's just like, we got to really know, like, where's this information coming from?
Right.
Yeah,
Who's
for real.
saying this? Like, is it a doctor or is it just, somebody on TikTok
It is
who
somebody on
just
TikTok.
has,
Somebody
just on
on
the
it.
app. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of like, I just want to just make sure that people feel and trust that when they're coming on to Ask Dr. Kendra platform, that they can say, oh, okay, let me read what endometriosis is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so that's what it is, and just already know that it's vetted and it's coming from, evidence-based literature and stuff.
I
So
love it so much.
I
Thank
know.
you so much.
Thank
Dr.
you for
Kendra.
Thank
being
you
on
so
here.
I like the
I'll
way
be
you
back.
doctor.
Me
doctor.
too. I love an earth sign, honey.
okay, what are you?
I'm a Capricorn.
Okay, you sound like a Virgo over there. I'm like,
You know what?
You
I
are
have-
very
y'all
Virgo.
does give
We're
us the
very
same.
similar.
You
She
know,
does.
I love
Capricorns and
Virgos.
Virgos are the same.
We
That's
are.
why they
think
either
so?
get along or they don't.
Yeah.
But you know what? They say never cross a Capricorn. Once we get on their
That's
bad
fair.
side, we
It's a wrap.
blacklisted
My mama
forever.
and
It
It
is.
sounds. It's like two different sides. Yeah.
There are two different sides to me. But you guys, you are always on the nice side. I
Oh,
wouldn't
for
even,
sure.
I wouldn't even be here if they were on my bad side.
I'm not
you
interested.
know what? I
in
believe that too. I believe that too. I'm
Okay,
like, sure.
listeners, I hope you are loving the Mama's Den. You can find us anywhere you get your
Love it.
podcasts. Make sure you're watching us on YouTube, on Black Love's YouTube page. We release videos every Tuesday. And make sure you're following us on IG at the Mama's Den Podcast. And leave us comments and reviews and only nice things, though, of course. And also go to AskDrKendra.com.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you for being here.